You're welcome. So before you get settled in, you might want to make sure, if you have at home, a couple of blocks. You could always use big books if you had them, and possibly a blanket if you want to have something underneath your knees. And otherwise, I want you to get really comfortable, set up your space for about a half-hour practice. When you get yourself settled in, find a comfortable seat. It doesn't have to be in this crisscross position, which is Sukhasana. You can always have the legs extended out in front of you, and you're welcome to come into a kneeling position too. So just make sure it's something that feels good in your body at this moment. You'll do a simple shrug of your shoulders up towards your ears, inhaling, and then let the shoulders soften and relax down the upper back. And eyes open or closed, you choose. Palms settling down on the lap somewhere. Arms relaxing down by your sides. Feeling length through the back of the neck as the crown, top of the head rises upward. And feel yourself to ground into the seat. So notice where you're making contact with the floor below. So that could be the base of the pelvis, parts of the shins or feet, and just start to settle in. Not needing to get ahead of ourselves. Just take a moment. This is mindfulness-based meditation principles. There's two primary anchors in that practice, and the first is the body. So when we pay a little bit of attention to how we're sitting and how the body feels sitting, we start to become a little bit more present. Mind not so much, all over the place. Right? And we want to start to anchor down in the present. And after you acquaint yourself with the seat, feeling the shoulders rest on top of the hips, shoulders relaxed on the upper back, neck long, just start to bring yourself into the second primary anchor of mindfulness meditation, the breath. And without shifting or changing it at all, just notice the movement of the breath in the body. How there's a kind of gentle, relaxed, rising up quality of the breath on the inhale. And then just softening, relaxing the breath on the exhale. You'll feel the shoulders soften down the upper back, arms relax a little bit more, maybe taking a little bit of any type of tension you might have around the cheekbones or jawline. And eyes open or closed, it's really your choice. Just soften your gaze if the eyes are open. And for the next half hour, we move. We move mindfully, allowing ourselves to cultivate a sense of balance, ease, and a deep sense of grounding as we move. Take one more breath in. Audible exhale out, letting go and letting go. And when you're ready, you'll slowly, if you did, open up the eyes. Another simple shrug of the shoulders up towards the ears, inhale. And then exhale, relax them back down. Reach the arms up nice and high. So spread out through the fingers, lift up through the sides of the waist. And we'll go ahead and we're going to clasp our palms up overhead. We'll flip the palms up and we're going to feel our ribs lift out of the hips. You're going to soften through the sides and the back of the neck. You might even draw your gaze a little bit over towards your right shoulder as you inhale. And then softly come back to center and over towards the opposite shoulder. And then slowly come back to center. Reach up one more time through the palms as you anchor down into the hips. Let the right palm come down towards the floor. And the left arm reaches up and over for a simple side bend stretch. And you're going to keep this left hip anchored down towards the floor. You'll reach with your fingerprints, open up through the whole side body. Take one more breath in. Gentle, relaxing exhale. Root the palm down, rise back up, elevate the arms. Go ahead and cactus the arms, elbows draw down and in. And then spiral the pinkies and thumbs out as you reach the arms up towards the sky. Opposite palm finds the floor, and that right arm reaches up and over, side bend stretch. And just find a comfortable space to settle into and breathe into. Right hip is softening down towards the floor, right fingers reaching up overhead. Soft and relaxed through the neck, root the palm down, rise back up, inhale. We'll cactus our arms again, elbows draw down, and it's kind of like a little bit of a lat pull, feeling the shoulder blades draw in, and then spiral the pinkies and thumbs out, elevate the arms back up. We're going to twist open towards our right this time. As we start to turn and turn, front palm comes on the knee, and the right hand comes behind the right hip. And then start to feel a connection to your foundation, and then up through the crown of the head so that you're getting a little bit taller as you inhale through the spine. As you exhale, feel a softness across the chest and collarbones. Let the breath be easy and steady. Slowly come back to center, sweep the arms up high. You can always look up if you want to. As you exhale, navel and towards spine, start to turn open wide. Arms out wide, then they come down. Front palm on the knee. Left hand is behind the left hip. Your left hand's an important part of your foundation. It's keeping your left side body nice and long from the hip crease to the shoulder. Shoulders relax down the upper back. Feel the turning of the belly, ribs, chest. Rise the arms back up, inhale, sweep it up. And as you exhale, hands come to heart center. Just Anjali Mudra, moment of meditation. Palms come down onto the lap, and then we're going to move into a wide V child's pose. So when you move into this posture, and if you have your blocks, have them at the front of your mat, you're going to have your toes touching and your knees fairly wide as you sink the hips back towards the heels. Walk your hands forward and bow the forehead down towards the floor. If the forehead can't make contact, no big deal. You can always bring a block or a blanket and bring that there. And then feel a more passive kind of stretch for the back body. It's from the base of the pelvis moving through the lower back, mid back, and part of the upper back. Let the shoulders soften, let the hips settle towards the heels. Then start to tense your fingertips up, lengthen through the torso, and walk your hands over towards the right side of the mat. As they walk over, lengthen through the sides of the waist, bow the forehead back down, and let your left hip soften towards the left heel. Notice the sensations through the left side of the body, and then gently tense your fingertips and come back to center. Notice the transitions and notice how nice they are. They're a part of the practice, right? Moving mindfully through the whole hour or half hour. Forehead softens down. You allow the right hip to soften towards the right heel. And just take a nice easy breath in and an easy breath out. And then slowly come back to center. Pause. Feel free to relax here anytime. And then walk your hands up towards your thighs. As we come up and we're going to shift up onto our shins, you might want to reorient yourself. I'm coming this way. Just make sure you have space on both sides of your mat. The spine is long in its natural curvature, so you have your hips in line with your shoulders, neck long. Once the hands are at the waist, you're going to let your right leg come out towards the side. So as you do that, you want your foot in line with this knee. It doesn't matter how the foot's placed. Make sure this hip joint feels comfortable. You can always draw the toes up. Maintaining length through the sides of the waist, bring your hands to heart center. And then reach the arms out in opposite directions. So these warrior two arms where we're spreading out across the chest and collarbones. As you flip the palms up, thumbs reach back behind you, and then elevate the arms up nice and high. We're going to revisit clasping the palms, flipping them up towards the sky, lengthening through the side body. You can turn your gaze up if you'd like to. You can lift through the chest just a little bit. Take a breath in. As you exhale, release the palm down towards the leg, and the left arm sweeps up and over for Gates Pose Parigasana. Noticing any sensations through the body, particularly this whole left side body, maybe the inner thigh. Find a steadiness to your foundation of the right foot on the floor and your left shin. Come back up, reach up. Arms soften down by your sides. So setting up for modified side plank, because we'll be revisiting this shape in a different way later on in practice. Your left palm is coming onto the floor, underneath your left shoulder. You can kickstand your shin back in slightly, plant the outer edge of the back heel down, and bring your hand to your hip. So modified side plank. We're going to feel the shoulders beginning to stack, the hips beginning to stack, side body long, arm can elevate up if you'd like it to. And then we're going to play here with a variation of half moon. If you'd like, shift your weight into your palm on the floor, shin and top of the foot on the floor, and lift up your leg, any height. So keeping the foot flexed, toes face towards the side of your mat, engaging through the inner thigh, and nice and easy, neck long and relaxed. You can look anywhere you'd like. Slowly release the foot down towards the floor if you took that variation. Root the palm down onto the floor, rise back up using the side body. Let the palm touch the leg, arm sweeps up and over. Gates pose, revisiting. Arm comes back down and nice and easy, this right shin comes back in. You can always tense your fingertips to bring the shin back in. A little shrug of your shoulders, just to relax ourselves, not taking ourselves too seriously as we practice. Hands come to our waist, opposite leg comes out towards the side, setting up for Parigasana. For my friends whose knees are a little bit sensitive, right, you can always take a blanket underneath the shin here, and it's a great option to practice with. Remember, if the joint of the hip doesn't feel very comfortable with the placement of the foot, you can always turn the toes up. Bringing your hands to your waist for a moment, getting that nice length through the spine, bring your hands to heart center, and then arms out in opposite directions. So it's a T shape of the arms. All that broadness across the chest and collarbones. As you flip the palms up, thumbs reach back, and take your time to reach up and rise up. Your ribs are lifting up and out of the pelvis, side body nice and long. Clasp the palms, flip them up towards the sky, revisiting this shape again. Elevating the shoulder blades, softening through the sides and back of the neck. Palm comes down towards the leg, and this right arm sweeps up and over for side bending into Parigasana Gates Pose. You can notice your gaze can look down, in front of you, up overhead. See what feels comfortable and unencumbered in the neck. Arm rises back up. And then the arms just kind of float down. Just really let that go. Feel a softness across the chest. Setting up for modified side plank, Vashisthasana. The right palm is coming down towards the floor. Wrist in line with the shoulders. You can bring the shin back in a little bit more. If the hand on the hip, we're trying to maintain length through both sides of the waist. Shoulders and hips stacking, making neck long and relaxed. You could lift up this top arm if you want to. Everything's an option and invitation. And then as you shift your weight into your right palm and shin, can you feel yourself slowly elevate this leg up if you'd like to? So this is variation of Ardha Chandrasana, which is half moon. Take one more breath in, engaging through the thigh, engaging through the back of the leg. Carry the foot back down, press into the palm and shin on the floor, and slowly come up. Nice and slow, you're in no rush. Palm comes back down towards the leg, arm sweeps up and over. And slowly coming back. Reorient yourself back onto your mat, coming into all fours, carrying the back shin in, and bringing your palms and your knees on the floor. So notice when we're in tabletop position, the wrists are in line with the shoulders, and the knees are in line with the hips. We're trying not just yet to cat and cow the spine. Think about length from your sits bones through the crown of your head. And then from there, start to tuck the toes, start to shift into cow shape where the pelvis tilts forward, belly draws down, chest forward, gaze lifts slightly, untucking the toes, rounding through the spine. This is cat shape. As you draw the tailbone down, rounding through the lower back, mid back, and upper back. Head gets really heavy. If you don't like tucking your toes in your cow shape, you don't have to. The tailbone lifts up, belly draws down and chest forward. And then articulate a rounding, right, which is called flexion of the spine. Tailbone descends down, rounding through the low back, mid back, and upper back. Press the sticky mat away, you're doming the upper back, and come back to a nice, easy neutral. Wide knee, child's pose, sit back, relax, take it easy. That's why we come into these spaces. Take a moment here, breathing in and breathing out, just noticing the cadence and quality of the breath. When you're ready, we're gonna come back up to all fours, and we're gonna start to build downward facing dog. Let the palms come maybe a little bit more in front of you. Begin to tuck your toes. And if you'd like to build a little bit of strength here, really kind of feel broadest across the chest and upper back. Lift up the knees, maybe about an inch, and just take a pause here, feeling stability in the shoulder girdle. As you shift the hips back and then up, the chest is drawing towards the thighs, and you're in an upside down V shape. You might start to pedal out the feet. That's bending one knee at a time. Do anything that feels good in the body. You'll press your palms evenly into the floor. So having engagement in the 10 fingerprints and pads, letting the neck relax, softening the head from side to side. Draw the navel in, take a breath in, and take a breath out. Let's try to roll forward nice and slow to a high plank. You can always drop the knees down if you'd like to. Otherwise, think about creating more length through the spine. Wrists in line with the shoulders, chest broad, face relaxed, gaze is down, and then pike the hips up and back into downward facing dog. Press the heels actively down towards the floor. Even though that the heels aren't touching, we really want to feel the legs active. And we'll do it again. We'll come forward, we'll find another high plank. Wrists in line with the shoulders, back of the neck long and relaxed. Another option, you can drop the shins down and still maintain all the stability in the torso and arms, still keeping the shins down. It's a great option to do. Tucking the toes, lifting the hips up and back. Easy breath in and easy breath out. One more plank, take your time. Remember, drop your knees if you want to. We don't win any extra points in this practice for, taking a variation that doesn't work. Broad across the chest and collarbones, hugging up the inner thighs, and then piking the hips up and back. Reset, breathe easy. And when it's time, we'll start to walk to the front of the mat. So coming onto the tips of the toes, softening the knees, begin to walk it forward, step by step. And let the ground meet you, especially if you're using these blocks, these props, they're really intelligent. Have them as kind of here to just ground you so you don't feel like the floor is too far away from you. Start by bending the knees pretty generously and allowing the head to get heavy. Side body, lengthening and relaxing. Maybe shrug the shoulders, let the arms relax, draw the head from side to side. Breathe nice and easy. And then nice and slow as you feel your feet, your foundation, the heel bones, Upper parts of the big toe mounds, pinky toe mounds, start to slowly come up. As you come up, it's more of a vertebrae by vertebrae. As you get yourself nice and tall and vertical, the last thing that arises is the crown. The crown lifts upward towards the sky. Look down at your feet. Make sure they're about hips width apart. You might spread out through the toes. Do a simple shrug of your shoulders up, forward and back. And then you'll sweep the arms up nice and high. This is Ardha Hastasana, upward salute. Go ahead and clasp the palms again. Flip the palms up towards the sky. Lengthen through the sides of the waist as you exhale all the way down, either arms out wide, right through heart center. You choose your practice. Bow easy, come up halfway, bring your hands to your shins or even to your blocks. This is more of a tabletop position again, but in a standing orientation. Length from the hip crease to the shoulders. Breathe easy. Exhale, soften the knees, bow in, forward bend. Rise up to stand. Feel the foundation of the feet. As you lift, inner thighs draw in, navel in, chest rises, arms elevate up. And as you exhale, all the way down. Half sun salutations, bowing in, letting go. As you inhale, hands up halfway, take your time. Your neck is long, crown reaching forward, hips reaching back. And then we bow, soft through the head, back of the neck. Rise up to stand, root to rise, reach your arms up nice and high. Elevating and lifting. And as you exhale, arms soften down by your sides. Simple shrug of the shoulders again up. Release them down. Bring your hands to our waist. We're going to open up towards a big wide straddle. You want to make sure your blocks are somewhere in the vicinity of your mat. I'll have them up here in front of us for later. Actually, I'll bring them out a little bit wider. So once we're here, look at the feet. Make sure that they're parallel with one another, that we have more of this Tadasana spine, natural curvatures, crowns lifting up, shoulders in line with the hips. Look at the front of your mat. Pivot the front of your toes towards the front of the mat. Bring your back foot in about 10 degrees, so you anchor that back heel. And then stand up nice and tall again. Bring your hands to your waist. As you bend this front knee, the hips descend down. The torso stays upright, hands come to heart center. Start to reach your arms out in opposite directions. This is Virabhadrasana to Warrior Two. You can look over your front fingerprints and just let yourself settle in. Imagine breathing in from the sits bones all the way through the crown, the head lengthening through the side body, and then softening the shoulders down the upper back. Straighten this front leg, arms rise up nice and high, inhale. As you exhale, re-bend. So just revisit this shape. Back heel rooted, arms out wide, straighten the front leg, arms elevate up. So this is a flowing Warrior Two sequence. Re-bend, revisit, firm up the back heel, soften your gaze over the front fingerprints, straighten the front leg, arms rise up nice and high. And then arms come down by your sides. Bend that knee again and flip the front palm up and back, peaceful warrior. So keeping the bend in the knee, right? And creating a side bend stretch. Straighten the front leg. This is reverse triangle pose. Try to get the bend out of the elbow if you can. Firm up the inner thighs, root evenly in both soles of the feet. As you rebend, we're moving into extended side angle. As we bend, we lean the torso forward, palm face up. Bringing the forearm on this front thigh. Keep this back hip closed, anchor the back heel, and start to lengthen through the torso. You might take your palm and kind of graze it across the collarbones and chest as the arm reaches up towards the sky. It's an option only. You can always keep the hand at the back hip. Notice where the gaze feels comfortable and relaxed. And then nice and slow, straighten this leg, top arm sweeps up and back. Take your time. Let's come one more time back into extended side angle. Bend the knee, reach the arm forward, forearm on thigh, hand to hip. All right, so we're gonna work on standing Ardha Chandrasana half moon. So you're gonna bring your block, you're gonna look for your block. You're gonna have your block, it's gonna be, I'd say diagonally from your front pinky toe, about a foot. Bring your back, keep your back hand at your hip. Bring your back foot in. We're going to bring our weight of gravity into this front standing leg. As we start to straighten that front leg, we lift up this back foot. And then as we slowly lift it up, we start to open up the torso towards the side of our mat. You want to try to have your wrist and shoulder in line, if you can. Once you're stacking hips and shoulders, firming up the inner thighs, flexing through the back foot, this arm can come up if you'd like it to, not a requirement. Take one more breath in, one more breath out. Hand comes to the hip. Can you soften the standing knee and carry the back leg back behind you? Really slow back briefly into this warrior two. Straighten this front leg and turn your toes so that everything's parallel. A little shrug up and down. Ardha Chandrasana is a very challenging shape, so take it nice and slow and see what's possible. As your hands are at the waist, you're going to pivot your back toes towards the back of the mat. Back toes slightly come in, spine upright and long. As you bend that back knee, hips shift down, right down towards the floor. Hands come to heart center, arms out in that beautiful T position. You can look over at your back fingerprints if you'd like to. Straighten the back leg, arms elevate up. You might look up, lengthen through the side body. Breathe in through the front knee. Warrior two. Straightening through the front leg, arms elevate up. And softly rebending. So enjoy the process of moving mindfully for this time. Last time, straighten the front leg. Back palm comes towards the back thigh. And rebend through this knee for a nice peaceful warrior. And then straightening through this front leg, we're in reverse triangle pose. So this real beautiful diagonal line of energy. Coming back now, we're coming into extended side angle, bend the knee, forearm to the thigh. Take your time, back hip is closed, torso's nice and long, hand might graze across the chest and collarbones and elevate up. Pausing and breathing. You don't have to lift the arm if you don't want to. Start to slowly straighten that front leg, top arm comes up and back again, lengthening. We're revisiting extended side angle. Bend the knee, more of a warrior two position, leaning forward, lightly forearm on the thigh, and that arm might reach up. Okay, back hand to hip. Look down to the floor, look for your block. These are super helpful to keep the side body long in half moon, Ardha Chandrasana. Block is at a high level, diagonally from the front pinky. Bring your back foot in, keep your gaze down towards the floor, back hand on the hip. As you start to bring your weight to this leg, you're straightening the front leg, slowly lifting up this back leg. You can adjust your block if you need to. Take your time to turn the torso towards the side of your mat. Not an easy endeavor. Keeping the side body long, right from the hip crease through the shoulder, especially this side body. Flexing through the back foot, softening across the jaw and eyes, arm might elevate up. Not an easy shape. So can you slowly bend this back knee, back hand at the hip, and carry yourself back very carefully, safely, back to a warrior two, just briefly. And then straightening that back leg, bring your hands to your waist. Pivot your toes so that they're all facing the same side. Take a shrug of the shoulders up and let them relax down. And then let's start to come down to a forward bend. So soften the knees, lengthen through the torso, hands at your waist or at the hips, inhale. As you exhale, navel in, start to tilt the pelvis forward. Bend the knees a little bit more and then bow the head. Let the arms soften down and a sway from side to side, bending one knee at a time. Nice and slow, tense your fingertips, lengthen through the torso. Start to look at the front of your mat, pivot your front toes towards the front of the mat. Hands frame the front foot, lunge your back leg. Nice and easy, take the back shin down towards the floor. Front foot back. Child's pose. Pause, breathe easy. Take a nice easy breath in and let it go. When you're ready, we'll slowly roll up to a sitting position. Coming up onto your thighs briefly, and then bringing your hips over to one side. As you bring your hips over to one side, legs are going to come out in front of you, and I'd love to face you, so you can keep the orientation of your mat, but the feet are going to come a little bit more intense, which is not the goal of yoga. You can bring your heels closer in towards the sitting bones. If you want to be a little bit softer right now, keep them a little further away. Be right underneath under your sits bones. Let your knees draw downward. Let the chest open up and broaden. Crown lifted. Take a breath in. And as you exhale, you're going to slightly lean forward. As you lean forward, palms can come around the toes and the head can bow. Just take a moment here, breathing into any sensations around the hips, low back. Slowly coming up, nice and easy. Close the knees up like a book. And then let's bring our legs out in front of at the edge of the mat. So as the heels are at the edge of the mat, we're going to do a slow roll down. So keeping the pelvis more neutral right now so that the shoulders are in line with the hips, spine long, fingers sweep in front of you. And then a little backward tilt of the pelvis. As you do this little backward tilt of the pelvis, hollow out the belly, engage with the inner thighs, and come slowly down. As you do this, if you have anything discomfort, then you're going to just come down to your back naturally. As you're here, soften through the shoulders and neck. Use your torso, your core muscles, and the inner thighs to slowly, slowly come down. Reach the arms up overhead, find a full body stretch. And as you exhale, hug both knees in towards the chest. When you're here, right, you could have your hands either on tops of the shins or behind the backs of the knees. You can keep yourself settled in, shoulders relaxed as you do little swaying from side to side. And then from there, little circles with the knees in one direction, and then go in the opposite direction. Feet soften down towards the floor. Separate the feet the width of the mat. About parallel, let the knees come to touch, and the arms can come out in a nice T position with the palms face up. Let the knees sweep over towards the right. Come onto the outer blade of your right foot, inner blade of your left. Chin over towards your left shoulder if that's comfortable. And then slowly come back to center. Let the knees gently float over towards the left, coming onto the outer blade of the left foot, inner blade of your right. You can look over towards your right shoulder, breathe easy, and then slowly come back to center. Heel toe the feet in, hug the knees in towards the chest. Legs elevate up towards the sky. You don't have to have the knees completely. They can have a soft bend in them. Arms float back behind you, palms face up. And then hug the knees in towards the chest, hands on top of the shins. If you like this, you can hug everything in, chin in towards chest, more of a rounding like you find in a cat. And then release the head, softening. Arms release back behind you. Legs elevate up towards the sky, point. Flex the toes, point the toes. And flex, hugging everything in. Nice and slow, chin in towards chest. If you like rounding everything in. And then slowly, slowly coming down. Bringing the arms down by your sides, feet onto the floor. One more nice hip opener. Feet about hips width apart. Right outer ankle comes on top of left thigh. And you can do really anything you'd like to do with your arms. They can be out by your sides. Keep the foot on the floor and just gently rock from side to side. You might rock all the way over towards the right as you come onto the inner blade of the left foot. As you come back to center, rocking a little bit towards the outer left hip, outer blade of the left foot. Shoulders away from the ears, front knee is drawing away from the chest. Very slowly let the right foot come down, left on top of right. Nice and easy. So this figure four, it's important that left knee is drawing away from you, keeping the foot on the floor, and just gently rocking from side to side. Outer blade of the right foot as you roll over towards the right hip, coming back to center, and over towards the left onto the inner blade of the left foot. Feeling some rotation through the ribs, the low back, the chest. You might do that one or two more times, see what feels complete to you. And then slowly, slowly come out of that. Last full body stretch. Really feel all your aliveness here. Inhale. As you exhale, gently hug the knees in towards the chest. Bringing the feet down onto the floor. And setting up for your final Shavasana. And you're welcome to pause the video at this point. Shavasana is a final resting posture. The legs are extended out in front of you traditionally. The arms are softened down by your sides. And there's no effort needed. The body is completely held and supported by gravity, the floor below. The breath flows easy without you controlling it. The eyes can stay open or closed. Welcoming to pause the video if you'd like to. Stay a little bit longer. Take one more breath in. Soft, easy exhale out. Starting to hug both knees in towards the chest. And gently rolling over to one side. As you roll over to one side, pause, cradle your forearm around the side of the head. Let the floor support the body, not holding it up. Pressing into the palms and slowly rising up to sit. As you come into a comfortable seat, whether that be legs extended, crisscross, anything you'd like, take a moment here, shrug those shoulders back up one more time. Inhale. And exhale, palms come to heart center, eyes open or closed. This is Anjali Mudra, right, which really translates from Sanskrit to English into an offering for this practice, for your well-being, for a deep sense of ease. Bringing the thumbs up towards the third eye center and bowing down. Namaste. Thank you for joining me.